Hello, welcome back. Today we are talking about cedarwood oil that came from the cedars of Lebanon. So cedarwood is believed to be the first ever distilled essential oil. Its medicinal and practical uses date back over 5,000 years. The Egyptians and the Sumerians, they used the oil for embalming. And then there's actual scriptural references in Leviticus chapter 14 because cedarwood was used with hyssop as a part of the ritual for the ritual purification for leprosy. So there are so many indications that cedarwood was used for so long. And then the timber was also used to build dwellings, coffins, boats, and instruments. So I got a couple pictures of cedars of Lebanon. So I'm going to show these to you. So I'm going to show them here. Whoops. So there's one photo, and then I really like this photo. So when you're looking at these photos, what do you notice? What do you notice right off? For me, when I was looking at these photos, I noticed just how large they are. Just the grandeur of these trees. Like, it doesn't seem as if any branch is small. Like, they're really big. And then in this one in particular, what I really noted was the thick canopy. Like, how much security and coverage that this would have, shelter for anyone passing by or passing through. And I thought that was really, really interesting. These trees can live to upwards of 2,000 years. I mean, that doesn't even seem possible or believable, but it's true. And then when you think back about their lifespan and what they have been around for, think of the people, the different people, the occurrences that have happened, the people that have maybe taken shade and shelter underneath their canopies. It's absolutely awesome to think about that. So it's not surprising that now these trees are endangered and protected. So you're like, okay, well, the cedarwood oil, then what are we talking about? Well, the cedarwood oil that Young Living sources actually comes from the Cedars atlantica. And through testing, we've found that this species of cedarwood has the most similar constituents as the ancient cedars of Lebanon, but it's readily available. We can distill it sustainably. So that's where the cedarwood oil that we have comes from. So throughout scripture, cedarwood is actually referenced 25 times in regards to using it for building, for using it for lumber and building and things like that. Specifically, I'm going to read you something here from 1 Kings. 1 Kings 6, 11 through 18. And I want you, as I read, I want you to try to envision what this structure would look like and maybe how it would feel, how it would smell. It says, the word of the Lord came to Solomon. As to this house you are building, if you walk in my statutes, carry out my ordinances, and observe all of my commands, walking in them, I will fulfill towards you my word, which I spoke to David your father. I will dwell in the midst of the Israelites and will not forsake my people Israel. When Solomon finished building the house, its inside walls were lined with cedar paneling. He covered the interior with wood from floor to ceiling, and he covered its floor with fir planking. At the rear of the house, a space of 20 cubits was set off by cedar panels from floor to ceiling, enclosing the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. The house was 40 cubits long, that is the nave, the part in front. The cedar in the interior of the house was carved in the form of gourds and open flowers. All was of cedar, and no stone was to be seen. Okay, so lots of cedar, floor to ceiling, cedar, enclosed in cedar, cedar carvings. So you could feel, I mean, that would be warm. It would feel like secure. And how would it smell? Wouldn't that smell just be, I think it would be awesome. Personally, So cedar wood is such an aromatic wood because the oil is in the wood. So many of our plants and so many of our essential oils are derived from the leaves or the roots or the needles or the flower. Cedarwood oil comes from the wood itself, and that oil stays in the wood indefinitely. And it's also, so not only is it strong and sturdy, that scent and that aroma is calming, it's also an insect repellent. So it would keep irritations out of the house, plus it would help with the longevity of the structure. I mean, these are just all smart building choices. Also, why today we still have cedar chests, cedar closets, cedar saunas, cedar decks. Those are all the reasons. They're strong, the structure is awesome, it's insect repellent, and it smells so good. So that's where we talk about cedarwood as far as structure and building in the Bible. We're going to take a little bit, we're going to talk about King Solomon some more, okay? So King Solomon became king in 971 BC, and he was a pretty young, inexperienced, he was just young. A lot of the kings that came in were. So in 1 Kings, he made a request to the Lord, and I'm going to read this again, and this is important. So it's 1 Kings 3, 7 through 9. So this is King Solomon. And he says, "Now, Lord my God, you have made me your servant, king to succeed David my father. But I am a mere youth, not knowing at all how to act. I, your servant, among the people you have chosen, a people so vast that it cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant, therefore, a listening heart to judge your people and to distinguish between good and evil. For who is able to give judgment for this vast people of yours?" Okay, so he's like, I need help. I need wisdom and discernment. I mean, that's pretty cool that he knew that he couldn't just go in and do this on his own. It goes on to say that the Lord was so pleased with this request from Solomon, that the request for the wisdom, that the Lord granted him three things. He granted him a wise and discerning heart, wealth and honor, and a long life. I'm going to read something else. I'm sorry, I'm reading a lot today. But like I've said before, these words are better than my words. So this kind of goes on as a description to the Lord granted him these things and what he went on to do with them. This is from 1 Kings 5, 9 through 14. God gave Solomon wisdom and very great insight, a breadth of understanding as measureless as the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the people of the East, and greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone else. His fame spread to all the surrounding nations. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He spoke about plant life, from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of walls. He also spoke about animals and birds, reptiles and fish. From all nations, people came to listen to Solomon's wisdom, sent by all the kings of the world who had heard his wisdom. Okay, so God gave him the wisdom and the discernment and all the things that he asked for, and he gave it to him to teach. So Solomon wasn't just sitting back going, okay, now I know how to lead my people. I know how to be a good king. He went out with this wisdom and knowledge, and he taught, and people took it in and listened. And so that made such a huge difference in his people. He was pouring into them. Okay, I know we've strayed away from cedarwood a little bit. I'm coming back. Because we needed to read all of this in order to bring together my last points here. So before the Lord gave Solomon the directions for building that house that we read about in 1 Kings 6, Solomon asked for this discernment. So then the Lord gave Solomon all the directions for building his house and how to build it and how size and everything. And then remember how we talked about what it would be like and the aroma within it. Here's what's interesting. Cedarwood oil contains 98% sesquiterpenes. Sesquiterpenes are just a class of molecules. But here's what we know about sesquiterpenes. Sesquiterpenes can cross the blood-brain barrier and they oxygenate the brain. Okay, they're bringing tons of oxygen to our brain. That's a good thing. But why? Why is it so important? So more oxygen to the brain equals better focus, better clarity, ability to make decisions, ability to take in information. It helps you be emotionally centered, centers that emotions, and it clears up your mental clutter so that you have room to bring things in and to really discern what you're taking in. So all of that scent and everything around, that sounds like a really, really great environment for someone seeking wisdom and discernment to lead their people. Just that place of respite that you could go, and it would really pour into your body and your mind and really help you with everything. Oh, and also cedarwood, all those sesquiterpenes and that oxygen helps you with your sleep. So all of that oxygenation to the brain can help stimulate a natural melatonin production and enhance that production of melatonin, which we all have naturally and which we need to sleep and have good, deep, restful sleep. So, and then reading all of this too, putting all this together, reading all this, God came to Solomon in his dreams. So anyway, I know this is just my opinion on how this comes together, but I thought it was very interesting thinking about where King Solomon was living and taking respite and what he was looking for in wisdom and discernment and what that place would have been like for him. So that is today's lesson on cedarwood oil. We'll see you next time.